The silence that followed the human demonstrations lasted for long minutes. 50,000 alien warships hung in space, their crews struggling to understand what they had witnessed. General Vextar stared at his tactical displays, which showed his fleet completely surrounded by human vessels that his weapons could not target. Finally, Admiral Tae-ho broke the silence. "Admiral Sujin, your capabilities are clearly beyond what we can match. Are you planning to destroy our fleet?" The human admiral's response surprised everyone. "Admiral Tae-ho, we have no desire to harm anyone. We never did." Captain Dongmin appeared on the communication channels alongside her. Behind him, the massive human fleet began to move. But instead of taking aggressive positions, they were creating clear paths through their formations. "All alien vessels are free to leave the Sol system immediately," he announced. "We will not prevent your departure." The alien commanders could not believe what they were hearing. General Vextar's mandibles clicked in confusion. "You are letting us go? After demonstrating your power?" "General," Admiral Sujin replied calmly, "power without wisdom is meaningless. Humanity has no interest in conquest or domination. We simply refuse to be prisoners any longer." Dr. Mi Young appeared on the screens from her research facility. "For 3 centuries, the galaxy has assumed that confining us to our system would keep us weak and controllable. This assumption was incorrect. We used that time to grow stronger than you ever imagined possible." Commander Wu Sung's ship phased back into normal space near the alien fleet. "We could have revealed ourselves at any time during the past 2 centuries. We chose not to because we hoped the galaxy would eventually accept us peacefully." "Why reveal yourselves now?" Admiral Tae-ho asked. Captain Dongmin gestured to the alien fleet surrounding him. "Because you came here with 50,000 warships to occupy our world by force. The time for hiding was over." The human formations continued to shift, creating wider and wider corridors for the alien ships to leave. It was clear that humanity meant what they said about allowing free passage. But General Vextar was not satisfied. His pride had been wounded by the demonstration of human superiority. "What guarantee do we have that you will not use these weapons against the galaxy once we leave?" Admiral Jinho answered from his energy-based vessel. "General, we have possessed these capabilities for over 2 centuries. If we intended to use them for conquest, would we have waited until now?" Dr. Ha-eun joined the conversation from her installation near Jupiter. The galaxy contains billions of inhabited worlds. Humanity numbers less than 20 billion people. Even with our technology, we could not control such a vast territory. More importantly, we do not want to. She paused to let her words sink in. We are explorers, not conquerors. We want to see what lies beyond the next star. We want to learn about the universe and our place in it. We want to meet other species as equals and friends, not as subjects or masters. Captain Hyun-soo, still in his small diplomatic ship, transmitted from his position near Earth. "The galaxy is vast enough for all of us to coexist. Humanity asks only for the same rights that other species enjoy. The right to travel freely. The right to establish colonies. The right to trade and communicate with others." Admiral Tae-ho found himself believing the human words. Their actions supported their claims of peaceful intent. Despite overwhelming superiority, they were offering safe passage to their enemies. "If we leave," he asked, "what assurance do we have that humanity will not use its technology to destabilize the galaxy?" Commander Wu Sung smiled from his phasing ship. "Admiral, we have been present throughout the galaxy for centuries without destabilizing anything. We have observed wars, conflicts, and political struggles without interfering. Our track record speaks for itself." Dr. Mi Young added, "We have prevented several galactic disasters that other species were unaware of. Asteroid impacts that would have destroyed inhabited worlds, solar flares that would have sterilized entire systems, alien invasions from outside the galaxy that never reached their targets because we stopped them quietly." The revelations continued to shake the alien commander's understanding of recent history. Humanity had been secretly protecting the galaxy while being treated as prisoners. "The Andromeda incursion 15 years ago," Admiral Tae-ho said suddenly. "Your forces stopped it?" "The Andromeda sent a scouting fleet of 12,000 ships," Captain Dongmin confirmed. "They plan to conquer this galaxy and strip it of resources. We convinced them to look elsewhere for expansion opportunities." General Vextar realized the implications. "That is why their fleet suddenly changed course and left our galaxy. We never understood why. There have been 7 such incidents in the past century," Admiral Sujin revealed. Each time humanity dealt with the threat without alerting the Galactic Council, we saw no reason to cause panic over situations we could handle quietly. The alien fleet was beginning to understand that humanity had been protecting them while they thought they were containing a threat. The irony was not lost on anyone. Captain Rilex of the Gornathi forces spoke for the first time since the demonstrations began.
"What do you want from the galaxy now?"
Dr. Mi Young answered directly. "We want recognition as an equal member of the galactic community. We want the freedom to establish colonies, to explore new systems, to participate in trade and diplomacy on the same terms as other species. We want," Admiral Sujin added, "to share what we have learned. Our technology could benefit every species in the galaxy. Clean energy, advanced materials, medical breakthroughs that could extend life and eliminate disease." Admiral Jin Ho's energy ship pulsed with soft light as he spoke. "We have solutions to problems the galaxy does not even know it has yet. Climate restoration techniques that could repair damaged worlds. Transportation systems that would make galactic travel instant and effortless. Communications technology that would allow real-time conversations across any distance." The offer was incredible, but some alien commanders remained suspicious. "Why would you share such advanced technology?" Dr. Kelvar asked. "Because knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied," Dr. Hyun replied from her research station. "Every species approaches problems differently. Every culture sees solutions that others miss. By working together, we can accomplish things that no species could achieve alone." Commander Wusong demonstrated the point by allowing several alien ships to approach his vessel safely. "We have learned much by observing galactic civilization. Thrakari engineering principles helped us develop better structural designs. Matharian biological knowledge contributed to our medical advances. Gornathi mining techniques inspired our resource extraction methods. You took our technology without permission," General Vextar accused. "We observed and learned," Captain Dongmin corrected. "Just as your species learn from each other. The difference is that we also improved upon what we observed and can now share those improvements." The conversation continued for hours as the implications of humanity's revelations sank in. The galaxy would never be the same. The species that had been treated as primitive and contained was actually the most advanced civilization in known space. Admiral Tae Ho made the first move toward acceptance. "The Valtarian Empire formally recognizes humanity's right to galactic citizenship," he announced. "We withdraw from any claim to authority over the Sol system." Other species began to follow his example. Not all of them, but enough to begin the process of change. General Vextar was among the last to accept the new reality. His ship began moving toward the exit corridor the humans had provided. "This is not over," he transmitted. "The Thrakari Empire will not forget this humiliation." Admiral Sujin's response was gentle but firm.
"General, we hope in time you will see this not as humiliation, but as liberation."
Liberation from the fear that humanity represented a threat to galactic stability. As the alien fleet began its departure from the Sol system, Captain Dongmin made one final transmission. "To all species of the galaxy, humanity extends an offer of friendship and cooperation. We will establish embassies in any system that wishes to host them. We will share our knowledge with any species that asks for it. We will help defend the galaxy against any threat that emerges." Admiral Tae Ho was the last alien commander to leave Sol space. Before his ship entered hyperspace, he transmitted a personal message to Admiral Sujin. "I have spent decades studying humanity," he said. "I thought I understood your species. Today I learned that I understood nothing at all. But I look forward to learning more in the years to come." 6 months later, Dr. Mi Young stood in the same underground facility where she had watched the Galactic Council's debates and planned humanity's revelation. But now her screen showed a very different scene. The Galactic Council chambers had been expanded to accommodate new members. Human representatives sat alongside aliens from 47 species, participating as equals in the decisions that would shape the galaxy's future. Commander Ji Woo, no longer under house arrest, had been elected as humanity's first ambassador to the Galactic Council. She was working with representatives from dozens of species to establish new colonies, trade agreements, and scientific research partnerships. The alien fleet hung motionless in space, surrounded by human vessels that defied every law of physics the galaxy thought it understood. General Vextar's mandibles clicked nervously as he tried to process what he was seeing. His flagship's weapon systems had identified over 50,000 targets, but none of them could be locked onto. "Admiral Su Jin," he transmitted, trying to keep his voice steady. "Your display of technology is impressive, but numbers mean nothing if you are not willing to use them." The human admiral appeared on his screen, her expression calm and professional. Behind her, through the viewport of her massive command ship, space seemed to bend and twist in ways that hurt to look at. "General Vextar, we are not a warlike species," she replied, "but we are prepared to defend ourselves if necessary. Perhaps a demonstration would help you understand our capabilities." What happened next would be talked about in alien military academies for centuries to come. A group of human ships moved toward a large asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. The rock was several kilometers across, big enough to destroy a planet if it fell from orbit. The human vessels surrounded it without any apparent effort. "Please observe," Admiral Sujin said calmly. One of the human ships fired a single beam of energy at the asteroid. The effect was unlike anything the alien observers had ever seen. The rock did not explode or break apart. Instead, it simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not scattered into fragments. It was there one moment and gone the next, as if it had never existed at all. "What kind of weapon does that?" Captain Rilix of the Gornathi forces asked in shock. Commander Wu Sung answered from his ship near Neptune. "That was not a weapon, Captain. We simply convinced the matter to return to its base energy state. The atoms that made up the asteroid are now part of the cosmic background radiation." Dr. Hayun appeared on the communication channels from her research facility. "Matter and energy are different forms of the same thing, as your scientists know. We have learned to control the conversion process directly." The demonstration continued. Human ships began performing maneuvers that violated every principle of space combat. They moved through each other like ghosts passing through walls. Some vessels split into dozens of smaller ships, then merged back together into single units. Others seemed to stretch across vast distances, existing in multiple locations at the same time. Admiral Tejo watched in fascination and growing fear. His sensors were recording everything, but the readings made no sense. The human ships appeared to be manipulating the fundamental structure of space itself. "How are your crews surviving those accelerations?" he asked. Captain Dongman smiled from his command bridge. "Admiral, we solved the inertia problem over a century ago. Our ships do not move through space in the traditional sense. We adjust our position relative to the fabric of space-time itself. A human vessel demonstrated by appearing to accelerate to impossible speeds, then stopping instantly. The maneuver should have turned any crew inside into paste against the walls. Instead, the ship continued operating normally. The crew experiences no force effects at all," Dongmin explained. "From their perspective, they never moved. Space moved around them." General Vextar was beginning to understand the full scope of what his fleet faced. These were not just advanced weapons or superior ships. The humans had developed a completely different understanding of how the universe worked. "Your science is impossible," he transmitted, but his voice lacked conviction. Dr. Mi Young appeared on the channels again. This time she was standing in what looked like a laboratory, but the experiments visible behind her defied description. Objects floated without support, changed shape without external force, and seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. "General, your statement assumes that galactic science represents the limits of what is possible," she said with gentle patience. "We have found that assumption to be incorrect." She gestured to one of the experiments behind her. A small cube of metal was changing its properties in real time. First it became transparent like glass, then it began glowing like a star. Finally, it phased out of visible existence entirely while still maintaining its position in space. "We call this programmable matter," Mi-Young explained. "Every atom can be instructed to behave in any way we choose. The distinction between different types of materials becomes meaningless when you can reprogram their fundamental properties." The alien fleet's scientists were frantically trying to understand what they were seeing. Dr. Kelvar's instruments detected energy signatures that should not be possible, matter that existed in quantum states that violated basic physics, gravitational fields that seemed to be created and controlled at will. "This level of technology should take millions of years to develop," he transmitted in desperation. "Commander," Wu Sung answered from his phasing ship. "Dr. Kelvar, you assume that all species develop technology in the same way. Humans approach problems differently than other species in the galaxy. He paused to let his ship perform another impossible maneuver, appearing to exist in 3 different locations simultaneously before merging back into a single vessel. While the galaxy focused on incremental improvements to existing technology, we chose to question the fundamental assumptions that technology was based on. We found that many things you consider impossible are simply difficult. Admiral Sujin decided to reveal the full scope of human preparation. We should mention that this demonstration represents only a small fraction of our capabilities. The technology you are seeing is over 100 years old by our standards. The implications of her words hit the alien commanders like a physical blow. If this incredible display was outdated human technology, what were their current capabilities? We have continued to advance, Captain Dong Min confirmed. The installations you see throughout this system represent multiple generations of technological development. Each one is more advanced than the last. A new human voice joined the conversation. Admiral Jin Ho spoke from a vessel that appeared to be made of pure energy, rather than solid matter. The ship I command was completed last week, he said casually. It incorporates discoveries we made just this year. Perhaps you would like to see what current human technology can accomplish. His vessel began to change shape, flowing like liquid while maintaining its structural integrity. It stretched across several kilometers of space, then compressed back into a compact form. The entire transformation took place while the ship continued to operate normally. This vessel exists in 11 dimensions simultaneously, Jin Ho explained. It can access any point in the galaxy instantly, regardless of distance or obstacles. To prove his point, the ship vanished completely from the Sol system. Seconds later, it reappeared exactly where it had been. But Admiral Jin Ho was now holding a small object that glowed with inner light. I just visited the Galactic Council chambers at the center of the galaxy, he said. This is a piece of the crystal matrix that powers your meeting hall. I borrowed it to demonstrate our reach. The object in his hand was indeed part of the council chambers located thousands of light years away. The implications were staggering. Humans could go anywhere in the galaxy instantly, undetected, and return with proof of their presence. We have been among you for centuries, Dr. Mi Young revealed. Every major decision made by the Galactic Council has been observed by human agents. Every secret military installation has been visited and studied. Every new technology developed by any species has been examined and improved upon. Captain Hyun Soo, who had been silent in his small diplomatic vessel, finally spoke. We know about the Thrakari secret weapon projects on Kessel Prime. We know about the Metharian genetic experiments in the Vega system. We know about the Gornathi planet killer hidden in the Crab Nebula. Each revelation sent shockwaves through the alien fleet. These were their most closely guarded secrets, known only to the highest levels of their governments. We know, Admiral Sujin concluded, because we have been watching, learning, preparing for the day when the galaxy would no longer allow us to remain isolated. The human fleet had surrounded the alien forces completely, but they made no aggressive moves. Their weapons remained unpowered. Their posture was defensive rather than threatening. What happens now? Admiral Tejo asked. He was beginning to understand that his fleet was completely outmatched, but the humans had not attacked. Captain Dong Min answered for humanity. Now, Admiral, we talk. The galaxy must decide whether it wants humanity as an enemy or as a partner. But the days of treating us as prisoners in our own system are over. The display of power was complete. The question now was whether the galaxy was wise enough to choose peace over war, with a species that had transcended every limitation that had been placed on them. The first sign of trouble came from the outer patrol ships. Commander Zelt of the Metharian destroyer Swift Current was investigating an energy reading near Neptune when his communications went dead. His ship simply stopped responding to calls from the main fleet. General Vextar was annoyed but not worried. Probably an equipment failure, he told his staff aboard the flagship Iron Mandible. These joint operations always have communication problems. But when 3 more scout ships went silent in the same day, the alien commanders began to pay attention. Admiral Tejo studied the locations where contact was lost. They formed a rough circle around the outer edge of the Sol system. Something is out there, he warned the other fleet commanders during their daily briefing. These ships are not experiencing equipment failures. Then what happened to them? Demanded Captain Rillix of the Gornathi forces. His rock-like features showed no emotion. but his voice carried concern. Before anyone could answer, every sensor on every ship in the alien fleet began screaming warnings at the same time. Space itself seemed to shimmer and twist near Neptune. Then something impossible happened. A structure began to appear where empty space had been moments before. It was massive beyond anything in the galactic database, larger than the biggest space station, larger than most moons. The thing decloaked slowly as if it wanted to be seen clearly. "What in the void is that?" General Vextar whispered. Then another structure appeared near Uranus, and another near Jupiter. Within minutes, dozens of massive installations were revealing themselves throughout the Sol system. Each one had been invisible until it chose to show itself. The alien fleet's sensors went crazy trying to process what they were seeing. These were not ships. They were shipyards, construction facilities, mining platforms, industrial complexes that stretched for hundreds of kilometers in every direction. "How long have those been there?" Admiral Tejo asked his sensor officer. "Unknown, sir. Our scans show they have been in position for decades, possibly centuries. We should have seen them, but somehow they were completely hidden from our sensors." On the main communication channel, a new voice spoke. It was calm, professional, and human. "Greetings, representatives of the Galactic Council. This is Captain Dongmin of the Earth Strategic Defense Force. I hope your visit to our system has been educational so far." Every alien ship tried to locate the source of the transmission. Their sensors found it coming from a vessel that appeared near Mars. But this was not one of the small human ships they had seen before. This was a warship that made even the largest alien battleship look tiny by comparison. Through the viewport behind Captain Dongmin, the alien commanders could see more ships. Hundreds of them. Thousands. They stretched away into space like a metal forest, each one larger and more advanced than anything in the galactic fleet. "This is impossible," General Vextar said, but his voice lacked its usual confidence. "Where did all these ships come from?" Captain Dongmin smiled politely. "General, they have been here all along. We simply decided it was time to introduce ourselves properly." Admiral Tejo ran every scan his ship possessed on the human vessels. The readings made no sense. The ships showed energy signatures unlike anything in galactic databases. Their hulls were made from materials that should not exist, and there were so many of them that his computer gave up trying to count. "Sir," his weapons officer reported, "our targeting systems cannot lock onto any of the human ships. They keep shifting in ways that should be impossible." Across the alien fleet, similar reports came in. The human vessels were not just hidden from sensors. They seemed to exist in a state that made normal physics irrelevant. Dr. Mi Young appeared on the communication channels next. She spoke from what looked like Earth's surface, but behind her was a view of space that showed construction facilities that dwarfed planets. "I am Dr. Mi Young, Director of Human Advanced Research," she said with the same polite tone that Captain Dongmin had used. "I thought you might be interested in what we have been working on during our 3 centuries of isolation." The display behind her changed to show technical readouts that made the alien scientists gasp in disbelief. Faster than light travel that did not require the hyperspace gates the galaxy depended on. Energy sources that tapped directly into the fabric of space itself. Materials that could be programmed at the molecular level to have any properties desired. "Your science is impossible," Dr. Kelvar transmitted from the alien fleet. "These readings violate fundamental laws of physics." "Dr. Kelvar," Mi Young replied, clearly knowing who she was addressing. "We have discovered that the laws of physics as understood by galactic civilization are incomplete. We have spent considerable time filling in the gaps." Commander Wu Sung joined the conversation from another massive human vessel. His ship appeared to be phasing in and out of normal space as he spoke. "The Galactic Council assumed that because humanity was new to space travel, we would remain inferior in technology," he said. "This was an understandable mistake. Most species follow predictable development paths. Humans do not." General Vextar finally found his voice again. "How many ships do you have?" The question hung in space for a long moment. Then Admiral Su Jin appeared on the channels. She commanded what appeared to be the largest human vessel, though it was hard to tell since new ships kept appearing throughout the system. "General, we stopped counting at 100,000, she said calmly. "The exact number is not as important as their capabilities." To demonstrate her point, a group of human ships near Saturn performed maneuvers that should have been impossible. They accelerated to speeds that would have killed any crew through gravitational forces. They stopped instantly without any sign of inertia effects. Some of the ships seemed to split into multiple vessels, then recombined into single units. Others simply vanished from one location and appeared thousands of kilometers away without crossing the space in between. How? Admiral Tejo asked. He had to know. Dr. Ha-Un appeared on the communication channels. She was clearly speaking from one of the massive installations that surrounded Jupiter. Admiral Tejo, your species has always been among the more scientifically curious members of the Galactic Council, she said respectfully. We have been monitoring your research for years. You came closer than most to discovering some of the principles we use. She gestured to the installation behind her. While the galaxy focused on building faster ships and more powerful weapons, we chose a different path. We learned to manipulate space, time, and matter at the fundamental level. The demonstration continued. Human ships passed through solid asteroids as if they were made of mist. Others created what appeared to be miniature stars, then extinguished them casually. Some vessels seemed to exist in multiple locations at the same time. We have been preparing for this day for 3 centuries, Captain Dongmin explained. We knew that eventually the Galactic Council would attempt to occupy our system by force. We wanted to be ready. The alien fleet found themselves surrounded, not by superior numbers or firepower, but by technology they could not understand or counter. Every human ship that revealed itself carried weapons and defenses beyond galactic comprehension. What do you want from us? General Vextar asked. For the first time in his military career, he was completely out of his depth. Admiral Su Jin answered for humanity. General, we want the same thing we have always wanted. To be left alone to develop as we choose, to explore the galaxy on our own terms, to take our place among the stars as equals, not as subjects. The most shocking revelation was yet to come. Dr. Mi Young appeared again, and this time her display showed a map of the galaxy. We should mention, she said casually, that this technology is not new to us. We have been using it for over 2 centuries. Red dots began appearing on the galactic map. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Each one represented a human presence that the Galactic Council had never detected. We have been watching you, she continued, learning about each of your species, understanding your technologies, your cultures, your military capabilities. We have research stations in systems you consider secure. We have been present at Galactic Council meetings you thought were private. The implications hit the alien commanders like a physical blow. Humanity had not been trapped in the Sol system. They had been studying the galaxy, preparing, planning. How long have you been able to leave your system? Admiral Tejo asked. Captain Dongmin smiled. Admiral, we never stopped leaving our system. We simply became very good at not being detected while we did so. The age of human containment was over. The question now was what would happen next. Admiral Tejo stared at the holographic display in front of him with disbelief. The data from the long-range sensors could not be right. He ran his 6-fingered hand across his blue-scaled forehead and checked the readings again. The numbers remained the same. Earth's entire defensive fleet was gone. For 300 years, the humans had kept their ships in orbit around their home world. 10,000 vessels of various sizes floated in perfect formation around Sol, Earth's star. The Galactic Council had put those ships there as a reminder. A symbol that humans could not leave their system without permission. The fleet was small compared to what other species had, but it was all the humans were allowed to keep. Now the sensors showed empty space where the human ships should be. Computer, run full spectrum analysis of the Sol system, Tejo commanded in his native tongue. The translation device on his collar turned his words into galactic standard language. Search for any traces of the human fleet. The computer's voice filled the bridge of his command ship. Analysis complete, Admiral. No trace of human vessels detected in the Sol system. No debris fields. No energy signatures. No warp trails leading away from the system. Tejo felt a chill run down his spine. Ships did not simply disappear. There were always signs, energy traces from engines, heat signatures from weapons fire if there had been a battle. Something, but the sensors showed nothing at all. Send a message to the Galactic Council immediately, he ordered his communications officer. Priority 1. The human containment fleet has vanished. On the other side of the galaxy, the Galactic Council chambers buzzed with activity. Representatives from 47 different species gathered in the Great Hall. The building itself was a marvel of engineering, floating in space between 3 different star systems. Each species had their own section designed to meet their environmental needs. Commander Jiwoo stood in the center of the chamber. She was the only human present, as always. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple style, and she wore the standard diplomatic uniform of Earth. Her face showed confusion and concern as she addressed the council. Honored representatives, Jiwoo began, her voice steady despite the situation. Earth has no knowledge of what happened to our defensive fleet. Our monitoring stations show the same readings as your sensors. The ships are simply gone. General Vexitar of the Thrakari Empire rose from his seat. His insect-like body clicked and chittered as he moved. The Thrakari were one of the most aggressive species in the galaxy, and they had never liked humans. Perhaps your pathetic species finally realized how hopeless your situation was, he said with amusement. Did you send your ships to hide in some dark corner of the galaxy? Other representatives laughed and made similar comments. The Zephyrians flapped their wing arms in what passed for laughter among their kind. The rock-like Gornathi rumbled with deep sounds that meant the same thing. Jiwoo remained calm. General Vexitar, I assure you that Earth's government had no part in this. We are as surprised as you are. Surprised? Vexitar clicked his mandibles together. Or are you lying to buy time for whatever plan your species has hatched? Admiral Taeho watched the exchange from his ship. Unlike many of his colleagues, he did not underestimate humans. His species, the Valtarians, had been studying Earth for decades. Humans were different from other species the galaxy had encountered. They were adaptable, creative, and they had a history of surviving against impossible odds. Something about Jiwoo's calm manner bothered him. She did not seem worried about her missing fleet. If anything, she seemed to be waiting for something. Council members, Jiwoo continued, Earth requests time to investigate this matter. We will share any information we discover. Time? Vexitar laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. Your species has had 3 centuries of time. Time to accept your place in the galaxy. Time to stop your foolish dreams of expansion. The council chamber filled with agreement from many species. Humans had been a problem since they first reached the stars. Unlike other species that joined the Galactic Council peacefully, humans had insisted on keeping their independence. They refused to follow galactic law completely. They asked too many questions about technology and space that was declared off limits. The solution had been simple: keep them trapped in their own system. Let them think they were free while controlling what they could do. The human containment protocol has worked perfectly, said Ambassador Quilex of the Matharian Federation. Her tentacles waved as she spoke. Perhaps this is an opportunity. Without their fleet, Earth is defenseless. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Many species saw humans as a threat that needed to be controlled more strictly. Others simply wanted access to Earth's resources. Taeho felt his unease growing. He had been monitoring human communications for years. Their technology was not as advanced as what the major galactic powers possessed, but it was clever, efficient. And humans had a disturbing tendency to find solutions to problems that seemed impossible. Admiral, his communications officer called out. We are receiving a message from the Council. They want us to prepare a full survey of the Sol system. Understood, Taeho replied. But privately he wondered if they were making a mistake. The humans had been quiet for too long. 300 years was a long time for any species to remain passive. Back on Earth, in a deep underground facility, Dr. Mi-young looked at the display showing the Galactic Council session. She smiled slightly as she watched the aliens debate what to do about Earth's missing fleet. Phase 1 complete, she said to the other scientists in the room. How long until they decide to investigate? Intelligence estimates 72 hours, replied Dr. Hyun from her station. The Council will need time to organize a survey mission. Good, Mi-young said. That gives us time to prepare for Phase 2. She turned to look at a massive display that showed the Sol system. To alien eyes, it would look empty except for Earth itself and the natural planets and asteroids. But Mi-young could see the truth. Humanity's real fleet was still there, hidden, waiting. The technology that concealed them was beyond anything the Galactic Council understood. Humans had spent 3 centuries learning, building, and preparing. They had studied every piece of alien technology they could access. They had pushed the boundaries of physics in ways the galaxy's scientists had never imagined. "Send word to all stations," Mi-young commanded. "The time for hiding is almost over." Admiral Taeho continued to study the sensor data from his ship. Something was wrong with the whole situation. Fleets did not disappear without a trace, and Commander Jiwoo's behavior suggested she knew more than she was saying. He made a decision that would change everything. "Prepare the ship for immediate departure to the Sol system," he ordered. "I want to see this with my own eyes." The disappearance of Earth's fleet was about to lead the galaxy into a revelation that would shake the foundations of everything they thought they knew about humanity. 3 weeks had passed since Earth's fleet vanished, and the Galactic Council was running out of patience. The Great Chamber buzzed with heated discussions as representatives from different species argued about what action to take. General Vextar stood at the center of the debate, his insect-like body gleaming under the chamber lights. "The humans have had enough time to explain themselves," he declared, his voice carrying across the hall. "Their silence proves they are planning something against the galaxy." Ambassador Quilex of the Metherian Federation agreed, her tentacles writhing with excitement. "Earth sits undefended. This is the perfect opportunity to establish proper control over the human species." Admiral Taeho listened from his position in the Valtarian section. He had returned from his survey of the Sol system 2 days ago, and his report had only deepened the mystery. His sensors had found no trace of the missing human ships. No energy signatures, no debris, nothing at all. It was as if 10,000 vessels had simply stopped existing. "The Thrakari Empire volunteers to lead an occupation force," Vextar announced. "We will bring peace and order to the Sol system." The vote was swift and decisive. 43 species agreed to send ships. Only 4 abstained, including the Valtarians. Within hours, the largest fleet in galactic history began assembling at the edge of human space. 50,000 ships from 12 different species gathered in formation. The sight was incredible to see. Massive Thrakari battlecruisers floated next to sleek Metherian destroyers. Gornathi rock ships, each one carved from a single asteroid, moved slowly into position alongside the energy beings of the Lagzaran collective who traveled in ships made of pure light. Captain Hyunsu watched the alien armada approach from the bridge of his small diplomatic cruiser. He was one of the few humans still in space, and his ship was no match for even the smallest vessel in the approaching fleet. His hands were steady on the controls, but inside he felt the weight of what was about to happen. "Captain," his communications officer said, "we are receiving demands for Earth's surrender from the alien fleet." "Open all channels," Hyunsu replied. His voice would be heard across the entire Sol system and transmitted to the approaching aliens. "This is Captain Hyunsu of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. On behalf of the human government, I acknowledge the presence of the Galactic Council fleet." He paused, letting his words carry the weight of defeat. "Humanity accepts the authority of the Galactic Council. We offer no resistance to your occupation of our system." The words tasted bitter in his mouth, but they were necessary. The plan required the aliens to believe they had won. General Vextar received the transmission on his flagship with satisfaction. "Record this moment," he told his crew. The day the humans finally learned their place in the galaxy. The massive alien fleet moved into Earth's orbital space with confidence. Ships spread out to cover all approaches to the planet. Scanning vessels began detailed surveys of Earth's moon and asteroid belt. Construction ships started building orbital stations that would serve as permanent monitoring posts. Admiral Taeho commanded one of the Valtarian ships in the fleet, but his unease continued to grow. Everything was going too smoothly. The humans had given up without any fight at all. In 300 years of studying them, that did not match their behavior pattern. "Admiral," his sensor officer reported, "we are detecting some unusual readings from the outer system." "What kind of readings?" Taeho asked. "Energy fluctuations near the asteroid belt, gravitational anomalies around Jupiter, temperature variations in Saturn's rings. Nothing we can identify clearly." Taeho studied the data on his displays. The readings were faint and scattered, easily explained as natural phenomena in a busy star system, but there were a lot of them. Could these be related to the missing human fleet? He wondered aloud. "Unlikely, sir," his science officer replied. The energy signatures do not match any known human technology. But Tejo was not convinced. He had learned never to underestimate human creativity. On Earth, Dr. Mi-young stood in the same underground facility where she had watched the council debates weeks before. Now her screen showed the alien fleet spreading throughout the Sol system. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. All stations report ready, Dr. Ha-un announced from her position. Phase 2 can begin at any time. Not yet, Mi-young replied. Let them get comfortable. Let them think they have won. The alien occupation proceeded quickly. Within days, monitoring stations were established on Earth's moon. Patrol ships began regular sweeps of the inner system. Communication networks were set up to coordinate the activities of 12 different species working together. Commander Ji-woo found herself under house arrest in the human diplomatic quarter. She was questioned daily by alien investigators who wanted to know about Earth's missing fleet. She told them the same thing every time. Humanity had no idea what happened to the ships. Your species is hiding something, General Vextar accused during one interrogation. We will find out what it is. Ji-woo looked at him calmly. General, Earth has nothing to hide from the Galactic Council. It was technically true. Earth itself had nothing to hide. But the rest of the Sol system was a different matter entirely. The alien investigators expanded their search beyond Earth's immediate vicinity. Scout ships ventured into the asteroid belt, looking for hidden bases or concealed ships. Others traveled to the outer planets, scanning ice moons and gas giant atmospheres for any sign of human activity. They found nothing. The humans could not have hidden 10,000 ships without leaving some trace, insisted Dr. Kelvar, the expedition's chief scientist. The Rigelian was considered one of the galaxy's top experts on military technology. But as the days passed, the search turned up no evidence of the missing fleet. The scout ships reported only natural phenomena: space dust, cosmic radiation, the usual background noise of a star system. Admiral Tejo was not satisfied with these reports. He began conducting his own investigations, using more sensitive equipment than the standard survey vessels carried. His scans went deeper, looked harder, and covered wider areas of space. The anomalies he found were subtle, too subtle for most investigators to notice, but they were there. These readings are not random, he told his senior staff. There is a pattern to them. His science officer looked skeptical. Admiral, we may be seeing what we want to see. The stress of this operation may be affecting our judgment. But Tejo had spent years studying humans. They were not a species that gave up easily. Their entire history was filled with examples of them finding ways to survive against superior enemies. They were planners. They were patient. And they were much cleverer than most aliens gave them credit for. Continue the deep scans, he ordered. Focus on areas where the anomalies are strongest. Dr. Mi-young watched the alien search efforts from her hidden command center. Their scans were getting closer to detecting the truth, but they were still far from understanding what they were really looking at. The Valterian Admiral is more persistent than we expected, Dr. Ha-un observed. Yes, Mi-young agreed. Tejo has always been smarter than the others, but even he does not suspect the real scope of what we have built. She turned to address the room full of scientists and engineers. Prepare all stations for Phase 3. The time for hiding is almost over. Captain Hyun-soo received a coded transmission on his diplomatic ship. The message was brief and used words that would mean nothing to alien listeners, but to him it meant everything. The garden is ready for planting, the message said. Hyun-soo smiled for the first time in weeks. Soon the galaxy would learn what humanity had really been doing for the past 3 centuries. The hunt for Earth's missing fleet was about to reveal something far bigger than anyone had imagined.